project, I made this smart mirror. Kind of going back to the original idea I had, I was going to make a infinity mirror, and while researching that, I came across a lot of these guys on YouTube that make these smart mirrors, and I pretty much instantly decided that I wanted to try to make one of those instead. And so I started out thinking about the aesthetics of my mirror, and like a lot of the ones online, you can kind of see they're pretty basic. This one doesn't even have a frame, it's just the mirror part alone. And I wanted to create a really nice mirror frame, and I wanted to go for that rustic, kind of dark, luxurious wood look. And so I decided on staining pine wood. And then for the virtual part, I wanted to make sure that the mirror was still functional and that there was a good high contrast text so that you could easily read what was on the mirror. And so with the design, it's pretty much just 4 components. You got the frame, the two-way mirror, the computer monitor, and the Raspberry Pi to control the software. And so with that, I'm going to kind of go into the construction of how I actually made this. And the first thing I did was I bought a monitor off of Craigslist, and I took the plastic bezel off of that, so I got just the screen here. And then with that screen, I was able to measure these dimensions so that I could model a frame in SolidWorks that would fit around it perfectly. And then with that, I took that monitor size and I also laser cut the two-way acrylic to match the same size so that everything would fit together. And then after I had the dimensions for the frame, I went ahead and constructed it, which is pretty much just made out of all these 1x3 pine boards. And I did 45-degree miter cuts on all 4 sides, and then I actually doweled and glued them. So then I used the router to route the edges, and that's what you see kind of right here and on the inside. And I chose to do the router once it was all together because I like the look of the inside having these round corners in here, and the outside has these square corners. And then after that, I of course stained it with like a dark stain, and also applied a polyurethane to kind of protect it from the moisture because I was a little bit worried about that being in the bathroom and stuff because it's such a humid environment. And then once I had the frame done, I actually put the monitor in. Well, I put the two-way mirror in first, and then I put the monitor on top of it. And I kind of just went around the edges with some nails to hold it in, kind of like a picture frame. And then there's a picture of the finished mirror, obviously not on. So then the other half of this project was the software. And to do that, I used the Raspberry Pi 3 and this platform called Magic Mirror, which is by a guy named Mitch on GitHub. And it's all open source, it was all already there. I'm not good at programming or anything like that, so I was really thankful to find his platform online. And it's pretty simple to install. It's like one line of text that you just copy and paste into the Raspberry Pi, and it installs basic things. So these are all the default modules that come with this. They call these modules each little kind of widget here. And these are the stock ones, so you got like the clock, the calendar, current weather, all your simple things like that. But then there's also a whole third-party library of people that have made their own modules. And I looked through them the other day, and there was over 160 that are already out there. So you really don't have to do too much coding. You just copy and paste and kind of configure things where you want them on the mirror. Some of those modules that I don't have on here, they have like Instagram feeds, Alexa voice integration, facial recognition. You can control the Philips Hue light bulbs. They had one where it displayed a Chuck Norris joke of the day. There's one that gave you the snow report and alarm clocks. So pretty much just anything you can think of, it's probably already out there. And there's also instructions on how to make your own too, if you get really into it. So I started with kind of a mindset I wanted to spend less than $250, and I ended up spending $227. So it was a pretty expensive project, but one of the other goals was to use it daily, and I do use it daily. Just kind of in the morning, just whenever. It's just in my living room hanging on the wall, so I can see what the weather's gonna be like, or commute, things like that. And I also wanted it to not be super deep off the wall. That was kind of like one of my other aesthetic constraints. And it ended up being about 2.44 inches, so I met that goal as well. And so what's next is I want to keep using the mirror, but I also want to add a motion sensor, and that'll allow it to go to sleep when no one's around. And then when someone walks in the room, it'll actually boot up. And of course, someone's already written all the code for that. I just have to install the physical sensor. And then I also want to explore some of these other modules. I didn't have too much time to go in depth on them. If we look here, some of the ones I did was I added this logo, which was a module, and then also this current commute one that actually talks to Google and figures out the current traffic at the time and updates every 10 minutes. And then I was going to show you, one of the modules is a remote control as well. So you can pretty much control the mirror from any browser. You just type in the IP address of the mirror. So if you wanted to edit the view on the mirror, you could say turn off the logo, or turn it back on. And then I tried to get YouTube on it and it kind of worked. And it shows up like right here, maybe. But I want to experiment with that YouTube one to see if I can get it more full screen and even if you can like search from your phone and then like cast it almost like a Chromecast. I think that'd be really cool. And that's pretty much my presentation, so I'll take any questions.
For the YouTube part, you won't have sound on it, right?
Well, the Raspberry Pi has Bluetooth built in, so I'm thinking if you just added a Bluetooth speaker, you get sound out of it.
Oh, that's cool. So maybe like if it's in a bathroom or something and if you hooked it up to a Bluetooth speaker, I wonder if you can go get Spotify or something.
Yeah,
with
I think
that too.
I did see a Spotify module that someone had made. I just didn't download it.
The only question is how would you make it so that it's easily controllable and that you don't have to plug it into your laptop every time?
Yeah, and there are a few of them on YouTube where people had integrated touchscreens, but that seemed like pretty out of scope for what I could do for this project. But it might be worth looking into if it's not too difficult in the future.
That's really cool.
Yeah, because there was some online that people were like ordering Ubers for themselves, like on the mirror.
No way.
Which is like really cool, but then at the same time you're like putting all these fingerprints on your mirror. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like also then your mirror has turned into your phone.
Yeah.
A huge phone.
So I wanted to keep it like very basic,
It's my
like,
best
simple,
phone.
like stuff, but I didn't want you to have to like interact with your mirror too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think adding music would be really cool.
Yeah.
If you could do that,
Especially
that would be
with-
super cool.
Yeah, especially if it like woke you up too, to like with an alarm.
Yeah, maybe just like, 9 AM, start a playlist
Yeah.
on Spotify.
Be cool because you could put like old well, I guess even current TVs, buttons are like around the rim on
Yeah.
the side, so you could just have a couple and the volume dial, volume rocker or
Yeah,
something.
I think that would be pretty easy to add. And I was also thinking about like adding lights so I could kind of get the vanity mirror look, so where you actually get light out of the mirror, maybe around the back or something.
Would that take away from being able to see like what's on the mirror? If
I'm
it's
not
like
sure.
too bright on the sides,
Yeah.
then
It seems
I feel like that would be a little distracting from
Right. It seems like the mirror does best performance when there's like a decent amount of like ambient wash light, but nothing directly on it. So like enough light to bounce off you in the mirror, but not enough to like have any glare.
What if it was the light itself? Because you only need a certain amount of the mirror. So if you actually turn the monitor to, said
Yeah.
switch to this, and then it had 4 inches of white, 2 inches of white,
Yeah.
4 inches of white, it is its own light.
Generate light.
And then you could have the mirror, it would still function as a mirror in the center.
But with this type of screen, would you be able to get that bright of a light to come?
I mean, it's a LED backlit screen, but
Yeah.
the mirror is only like I think 30% light transmission.
Right.
The two-way part. So you'd still, I think it would just look like a kind of like a blurry screen or like
Yeah.
a very
Hmm.
screen with a lot of glare.
How do you go with the aesthetic that you would? How do you decide?
Well, I was looking at like what kind of mirrors existed, and I asked around, and I was like, what would you want to see on your wall, things like that. And I was really close to just like wrapping the wood in this carbon fiber vinyl to give it like a very futuristic look.
Yeah.
But after I started doing the woodworking, I was just too proud of it to like cover it up with this wrap. And I think that would look really cool, but I also thought it might look a little cheesy. And I kind of like that it looks like a nice normal mirror, and then there's also this whole futuristic aspect to it.